Did Spider-Man No Way Home live up to the hype? Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Too Much to Watch. I'm your host, Sean, and today we are going to talk about the movie event of the year, arguably, if not, you know what, my movie event of the year. We're going to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. Just like everybody else on YouTube, I got to sit down and talk about it. I got to talk about my thoughts. And this will be a spoiler-filled episode here. It's a harder movie for me, at least, to talk about without spoiling it. So I feel like if you haven't watched it, what are you doing? It's been out for a couple days now. I've had some time to think about it a little bit, and I really wanted to get into it. I really want to talk about all the things going on with that movie and why it's one of... we'll get into it. It's great. Really, obviously, we're going to talk about everything in between with this movie and why it is so critically acclaimed right now. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's like a 95% critic score, 99% audience score, and there's a very good reason for this. Bottom line, bar none, this was an absolutely phenomenal movie. I'll talk to the end about where I think it fits as far as the Spider-Man movies as a whole. But this movie from start to finish is an absolute blast. This movie picks up right where Far From Home left off. If you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home, you probably shouldn't be here either. But for people that have seen Spider-Man Far From Home, we know that at the end of the movie, Mysterio reveals to the world Spider-Man's identity as Peter Parker. From there, the craziness begins for not only Peter, but his entire his family and all of his friends. This revelation begins to affect the friends' ability to get into college and Peter's. Aunt May is harassed. It's just really made life hard for Peter and his surrounding friends and family. Throughout this, and again, we've seen this in the trailers, Peter takes this time or this opportunity to go talk to Doctor Strange to try and figure out a way in which everybody can forget Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So, of course, as we've seen, the spell that Doctor Strange is advised not to do is botched. He tries to contain it, but trying to get people to forget who Peter Parker is actually brings in from other dimensions people that do know Spider-Man, specifically his villains. As we've seen, and this is not a spoiler, even though we are going to talk about spoilers, Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, the Lizard, Sandman, Electro, all come in from other dimensions, and hijinks ensue. The piece that I thought was very interesting, or one of the pieces I thought was interesting about this, is that obviously these people come in, they're villains. We know they're villains. If we've seen any other Spider-Man movies, from Tobey Maguire to Andrew Garfield, these are villains of Spider-Man. They don't necessarily know this Peter, but they know a Peter, and they just begin discussing through trying to wrangle these villains back in. Peter and his friends are able to kind of talk to them and find out that they're going to go back to their world and be killed essentially by Spider-Man or be or harmed very greatly. This Peter is idealistic, as all Peters tend to be. There's a teenager in them. They're idealistic. They're hopeful for everything, and this Peter is no different. So he and Doctor Strange get into it. He works to try and cure them. He ends up curing one of the villains in Dr. Octopus, but the others tend to escape. And the biggest twist, to me at least, and we'll get to the rest of what's going on, but the biggest twist to me in this movie was, again, spoiler alert, that Aunt May dies. Aunt May, there is no Uncle Ben in this trilogy of Spider-Man movies. So Peter's Uncle Ben is his Aunt May. And Aunt May, through a circumstance of the Green Goblin, ends up dying and ends up passing along the famous quote with great power comes great responsibility. May is the rock for Peter. She is always the emotional crutch. only thing that can keep him centered and keep him safe. So now he has lost his Uncle Ben in Aunt May. At this point in the movie, we get what we all knew was coming, but they kept very secret, or as secret as possible, is we do in fact get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in to reprise their roles as Spider-Man. Through some magic that I'll go ahead and leave that magic for you to see, because it is a little interesting and sets up one of Spider-Man's friends as something a little bit more than they seem. And if you are a fan of any of those movies, you have to believe this is excellent. The interaction between the three of them is pure gold, both for comedy, for the emotions, and what I've seen in the past couple days since this movie has been released, and since it's like kind of the known quantity of these two are in fact in this movie, is the love for Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield, as we know, is a phenomenal actor outside of Spider-Man. He's done a lot of great things, from The Social Network to his recent Netflix movie, Tick, Tick, Boom. Andrew Garfield is an amazing actor, and he really brought it in his movies. Whether you like those movies or not, whether they were arguably a cash grab for Sony and trying to just get another Spider-Man made before the rights return back to Marvel, Andrew Garfield put his all into Spider-Man, and this was his shining moment. If you didn't like those movies before, you kind of bypassed them because they weren't Tobey, or in this case, they're not Tom Holland. Andrew Garfield is a phenomenal Spider-Man, a phenomenal Peter Parker. This is a long movie. This is over 2.5 hours. And this movie is, from start to finish, fun. There is a lot more dialogue. There's a lot of emotion in this movie, not just a typical Marvel action flick. Although when the action starts, it starts. The special effects are phenomenal. The action is great. The interaction, the quippiness of Spider-Man and the interaction of the villains. Alfred Molina comes back and it's like he's never left the Doc Ock role. It was like they filmed Spider-Man 2 way back when and then just started filming this. He knows that role. Willem Dafoe, the A-list actors that come with these villains is pretty remarkable. Jamie Foxx is Electro. Jamie Foxx is a great actor. I don't think Electro had a whole bunch to do other than just be evil in this movie, but a great actor to have in that role nonetheless. The movie is the Spider-Man wins. All the Spider-Man wins. We're able to put all the villains back and everybody back in their universes. But issue that comes up is that we do in fact have to spell that everybody has to forget Peter, including his loved ones. MJ, Ned, everyone forgets Peter. So at the end of the movie, Peter is on his own. A great nod in the end of the movie is that Tom Holland's Peter ends up living in Tobey Maguire's apartment. Great callback, great Easter egg, and just we have finally found this Peter is on his own. It seems like the Home trilogy, if you will, Homecoming, Far From Home, and now No Way Home, is a trilogy in which we lead up with Peter having this entire team behind him, either Tony Stark, these great suits, the Avengers, and now he's on his own. He's made his own suit. He has no more Stark tech. He's just on his own. No one knows who he is anymore, and now he's got to fight crime by himself. And that's where Tobey and Andrew have always been, has been a loner. There is no team. This movie from start to finish is barred on an absolute blast. Emotions throughout, wonderful acting. The action is great. This, to me, is the best Spider-Man movie. I debated walking in, and I had some time to think about it. Spider-Man 2 will always be a classic to me, will always be part of my pantheon of superhero movies. One of the best superhero movies ever made. This one is along those lines. This is great. This brings in all of those wonderful things about superhero movies, and specifically comics. This outlandish, outrageous multiverse is now coming into fruition on screen, and we're able to see these characters interact that we never thought was going to be possible, and just really brings together a cast of people that, forever we would have never thought Tobey would ever suit back up and Andrew ever suit back up. And Tom Holland is an absolute revelation in this movie. He really brings the emotion of losing Aunt May and knowing he's got to give up MJ for the betterment of the universe. He can't be selfish anymore. He has to be on his own, and that's where Spider-Man typically lives, is always on his own. I spoiled this movie. I've talked about it. I think you feel where I'm coming from. I think this movie is an absolute wonder. The best Spider-Man movie, in my opinion. Probably, I'm not going to rank the MCU just yet. The hype was real. We've hyped this movie up for over a year with the pushbacks with COVID and the moves around with the movie schedules. The hype was real. The theories may not have been come to fruition, but the hype certainly was real. I did not feel disappointed. This will be viewed multiple times by me. And I just think that this is one that really needs to go down as one of the better superhero movies ever made, specifically in the MCU, but maybe you could argue others as well. If you haven't seen it and you're still here, I don't know why, because I told you basically the whole plot, the twists and turns of making Doc Ock good and helpful, the twist of Aunt May, the interactions of all the Spider-Men, and truly, I think probably the revelation in this movie is, in fact, Andrew Garfield. There are some critiques. It is long in certain spots. There are some more dialogue than I thought probably was going to happen, but I think they're very minute. Yes, you can probably argue plot holes and things like that. Any movie can have plot issues. I don't think any of them stood up to be something that you would turn this off and say this isn't good. Plot holes aside and those little critiques aside, this is damn near a perfect movie. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think with the likes and the thoughts. I'm open to it. I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to see this again. I hope you all do the same. As of this video, we're a couple of days away from the Christmas holiday. So whatever you celebrate, I hope you have a great one with you and your family. I hope you stay safe. And I will talk to you soon with another video. Peace.